Siomra
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sure Look, Sure Listen, the podcast that takes a pop of culture. Sure Look, Sure Listen.
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 Sure look, sure listen. Very good, Ben. Sure look, Ben, this week we've got loads to look at. Don't we only have a new trailer for He-Man, Ben? He's back, he's coming back, he's got all his power. Also, Ben, there's lots of casting. Some casting news which is very exciting and some casting news which has upset you. Then, Benjamin...
Fuck off!
Then, Benjamin, you've had a look at something called Trese, and I don't even know what that is, so that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. And then we're going to have a real in-depth, niggly look at episode 1 of the new series, Ben, Loki.
Loki, very good. Sure, listen, Michael, if that wasn't enough,
And
we're
it
also
isn't.
going to be taking a look at... It isn't, because we do a 50-minute podcast, Michael. It actually takes quite a bit to fill it up. Sure, listen. We're going to be taking a look at Critics on the Seesaw, Michael, the changing face of criticism in the digital world and how it's shifted from back in the day as a moral practice to a bloody everyone has an opinion practice. It's going to be
Everyone's
interesting,
a
Michael.
critic, Ben. Everyone's a critic now.
And that's all right.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah. Or is it?
Or is it?
Or isn't it?
Hmm?
Ben, you know who doesn't care what the critics think about him?
You.
Prince Adam of Eternia.
Prince Adam of Eternia.
Yeah.
He's a big hefty boy hitting the gym, doing a flex. He's like, I could beat up critics. I don't give a crap.
I know now, Ben, that's not the attitude that He-Man would take.
It is, absolutely. He's a roided out machine and he needs to be stopped, Michael. He's an elitist with power behind him, both in terms of triceps and in terms of actual monarchy.
Benjamin's triceps, your idea of the most powerful muscle.
Have you ever seen the tricep flexes, Michael? They're big and strong. They're big, scary things. Have you ever seen like the big tricep muscle just locked in there? That thing is terrifying, Michael.
Are you talking about Prince Adam, Ben, or just muscly men?
Just muscular men in general, Michael. It's terrifying.
You're generally frightened of muscular men's triceps. That's a revelation, Ben.
Have you ever seen a bodybuilder carrying a briefcase, Michael? Fucking terrifying.
You know what's in that briefcase, Ben? Bricks. Leaden bricks. Bodybuilders can't read, Ben. They don't have documents. Everybody knows that.
One of my favorite movements from the Victorian era, Michael, was muscular Christianity, and it was a branch of Christianity that really extolled the virtues of weightlifting and fitness as a way to honor Christ and stuff like that. But a lot of people back in the day, Michael, if they were devout followers of muscular Christianity, would walk everywhere with 2 dumbbells.
Oh, very good.
So you might be walking around London and you just see a very well-dressed man strolling around London with a couple of dumbbells in his arms. And what these people would do is they would literally put down the dumbbells when they were chatting to somebody and pick them back up when they went on their walk. And it was a way to constantly kind of bear Christ in mind. Now, isn't that mental?
And Ben, is that in a kind of self-flagellation way or in a kind of flex way? Like the men who walk around town with imaginary watermelons under their arms.
Oh, I like the pigeon walk. The pigeon walk is very entertaining to me. The da da da. That's the music I imagine they have in their head as they're going. It's like.
Now, Benjamin,
it's good.
What has any of this got to do with the new He-Man series from Kevin Smith on Netflix?
He-Man carries 2 little dumbbells everywhere he goes. That's how Prince Adam keeps in such excellent shape.
But Benjamin, Prince Adam isn't in particularly notable shape until he goes, I have the power, and then he becomes He-Man.
And he sticks a bunch of roids in his arm. Yeah, look, He-Man's back, Michael. And the trailer is very bold because it says, after 40 years. I don't know what that means because there has been He-Man shows in between the original run of He-Man. And I think this might be a continuation of the original run of He-Man. Is that what they're getting at?
Which seems mental, Ben, because the 80s cartoons weren't very canonically straightforward, were they?
Or good, Michael.
Or good, yeah. No, they weren't very good.
That'll get me in lots of trouble with devout He-Man fans who carry little Eternia swords around with them everywhere they go. But, that seems to be what he's getting at. Kevin Smith seems to think that he is the savior of He-Man.
I don't know, Ben. That's a bit of a leap.
It's too late. I've put it out there into the world now. And this is all hubris, and it's a monarchist, elitist, bloody glorification, and I'll have none of it.
Benjamin, Kevin Smith tends to have a bit of a nuanced look at things.
Does he?
Yeah, there's sometimes a bit too much sexual assault, but he does tend to have a bit of a nuanced look. I can't imagine Kevin Smith being a monarchist.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and watch He-Man Revelations to figure that out.
He took your mates, the Catholic Church, down a notch or two in Dogma.
He did. It's funny, I was just discussing earlier on the fact that Dogma isn't on streaming services because the rights have lapsed from the L. Weinstein boys, and he hasn't been able to get his hands back on those rights to let them be taken by any streaming service. You can't see Dogma anywhere, and it's out of print on DVD, and it hasn't been given a Blu-ray release, which means that... Go on.
No, we talked about Dogma a few months ago, Ben, and we had this exact problem.
Yes, we did, and it's very interesting, Michael, because it hasn't been resolved.
It hasn't been resolved. It's nowhere to be seen. Luckily, Ben, I have a DVD copy of the damn thing.
So do I. So there you go. We're bloody... I suppose that makes us uber Kevin Smith fans.
Kevin
and I don't
Smith
really like
boys.
that.
Benjamin,
I don't like that. Yeah.
For all you're giving out, the animation is spectacular. The animation...
very smooth, Michael.
Very smooth. So many frames.
Such frame rate.
So many of them. Benjamin, the animation is probably what people remember He-Man looking like when they were kids.
Yeah, so it's a return to those original designs, I guess. And one of the great criticisms of the relaunch of that series, which was really just a toy ploy, Michael.
Ben.
Yeah.
All cartoons are to sell toys.
Well, I mean, look, you stay out of this, right? You stay out of this action figure boy.
That's what cartoons are for.
You stay out of this action figure boy, okay? You just pick up your favorite toy there now and fidget with it while I'm having a little chitty chat.
That's
all right?
Flippin' action figure man to you. These action figures are made of leaden bricks, Ben, so that my triceps are always flexed when I'm playing with them.
Excellent. He carries, if you see Mick around Dublin town, he's carrying two very heavy leaden action figures under his arms.
Yeah.
As he goes
From the
around.
80s.
From the 80s.
You can't lick them. They'll give you lead poisoning.
You can't be doing that. Don't do that.
Don't lick them.
That's not a good idea. Look, what's happening here, Michael, is they've really amped up the magic element of... Eternia, and we seem to be getting an awful lot of Skeletor swinging a staff and opening up portals and having giant fists.
Ben, that was my favourite moment. He does a portal and a big giant fist comes out.
It's very good. Apparently, Skeletor constantly has a fist on hand. To take out He-Man. And if I was Skeletor, I would be hiding behind rocks, waiting for He-Man to appear from somewhere, and then I just open the portal above him and have a big old fist come down and smash him.
He'd catch it, Ben. His reactions are too fast. Benjamin.
He probably would. Yeah.
It has your favourite actor in it.
It does. It has Mark Hamill.
He's from Luke Skywalker's.
Mark Hamill is continuing his epic tradition, Michael, of voicing villains.
All the baddies,
because he's just got a great voice for it. So we're going to get a Skeletor that sounds slightly like the Joker.
Yeah.
Skeletor. The Trickster.
Yeah.
Play the Trickster as well.
Luke Skywalker.
Noted villain Luke Skywalker.
Certainly in the last films.
Yeah, bloody grumpy old man. He killed all those kids, Michael.
Yeah. He's worse than Anakin. Benjamin.
Yeah.
I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it. The 2002 one started very well. I don't know if you ever watched it, but it was...
I didn't.
It started incredibly well and looked very expensive, and every episode got increasingly cheap looking to the point where it was like, this isn't great anymore. So they obviously blew their budget on the early episodes.
That I think start strong and finish weak and just terrible. It's a classic Hollywood strategy. I'm very interested to see it, Michael. It looks like a slightly adult take on He-Man.
Well, it's Kevin Smith, Ben, so someone has probably been sexually assaulted and that's their motivation.
Yeah, I look forward to the first time that He-Man lifts the sword above his head and says Schnoogans. That'll be
yeah, he might say
that'll be interesting. So I have the Schnoogans.
Benjamin. Quiet now. Benjamin, what's going on with Sandman? What's going on?
Michael, this has slipped by us completely. Sandman.
Ben. Even though multiple people have told us about it.
Even though multiple people have told us about it, including good friend of the podcast, Sean Northridge, who was very clear on how this went. Look, this thing's gone ahead, Michael. We got our behind-the-scenes look today. Neil Gaiman took us behind the scenes of the practical sets of the Sandman. What, Michael? What? It's pretty interesting stuff. You and I are only really catching up to it now, but it's pretty much a who's who of British actors again.
Oh.
Which is interesting.
Hugh Laurie.
No, Hugh Laurie's not in, but Stephen Fry is.
Oh, same difference, Ben.
Same difference.
Same difference. Jane Doody Jench.
She's not in it, Michael.
Oh,
No,
was she not available?
You got me
Maggie
there.
Smith.
Let's go through it, Michael, so that
All
I
right.
can't make a complete ass of myself.
Maggie Smith. The
so
guy who
Tom
plays Botherington from the show Botherington.
Tom Sturridge, Michael, is
I've
playing
never heard of
the eponymous Dream or Morpheus. He is the Sandman. So Tom Sturridge he's not a big actor, but he's a pretty big actor. And
How
he's
big
got
is
the
he?
right look. I think he's about 6'something", 6'1".
Oh, that's pretty big.
6'2", that's pretty big. It's pretty big. But then we've got some interesting ones, Michael, and you know the internet's not too happy.
Oh, the internet.
the internet's not too happy.
Piss
Because
off, the
Lucifer,
Yes.
Lucifer is played by noted tall woman Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh, Gwendolyn Christie playing Lucifer. That's very good. That's the right look.
It's very much the right look, Michael. I think it's
Hmm.
spot on casting for an
Yeah, yeah,
androgynous multi-being.
Yeah.
But
And
look,
she's very tall, Ben.
she's very tall. She's 6'5" as a woman,
Something like that. Yeah.
something like
and,
that.
And not as a woman, also. Like, just
She's
independent
just
of being a
tall.
woman. Yeah, independent
She's-
of being a woman, she's still 6'5", Ben.
She's just tall.
Big tall person.
Then, Michael, and here's
Yes.
the real controversy.
Oh.
Death has been cast by a woman of color, and it's Kirby Hell Baptiste.
Oh, like Domino again.
So, like Domino again. And, like, look, Michael, the internet is having a little grumble to itself. And you know what?
Classic
Fuck them.
internet.
Fuck them.
It is interesting, Ben, that basically it seems the quickest way to get your character cast as a person of color is have them be deathly white.
Chalk.
Like, what is the chalkiest white? Name the 2 chalkiest, whitest characters you know, and we'll have them played by black women, and then everyone will lose their shit.
That does seem to be the goal, Michael. That does seem to be the exact goal.
Actually, you know what? And it's not just women either. So there's Death, obviously.
Yeah.
There was Domino,
Yeah.
who's chalk white in the comics, and
Correct.
Yeah, there was Death Circle. What's his name?
Oh, bloody
Death Mark?
Bloodshot.
Bloodshot. Yeah, Bloodshot. Chalky white
Death
in the
Mark
comics.
was equally good, Michael.
Yeah.
You could equally call him Death Mark, and it wouldn't make a difference.
Chalky white in the comics. Vin Diesel in real life. That's
look-
very interesting. That is very interesting.
Seems to be a thing going around. The Corinthian has been cast. That's Boyd Holbrook, who is American, actually. Now that I think.
Oh,
of it.
that's even worse, is it, Ben?
That's even worse. That's even worse, Michael.
The Corinthian
now,
wasn't the Corinthian the character an American character? Because the serial killer convention was in America.
exactly, Michael. So it's the right
yeah.
choice. It's just the right choice.
Ben, are there
Um,
any other chalky white characters who could be replaced by people of color?
Off the top of my head, Dracula could be played by Idris Elba. I'd watch that.
Very good, very good. Yes.
I'd watch the fuck out of that.
Asajj Ventress, Ben. Who could play Asajj Ventress?
I think Annie. Who'd be a good Asajj Ventress though? Oh, that's a great question, Michael.
Never mind. Let's get back on
That's the thing.
topic.
We'll get on. We'll get back onto that at some point. One of the controversies, Michael, is Jenna Coleman, and she's apparently going to be playing John Constantine. But there's a bit of controversy here as well, Michael. She's not playing John Constantine. She's playing Joanna Constantine.
Oh, is that his daughter?
Joanna Constantine is an ancestor who's had of the Constantine family. She's from the 17th century, I think. And she's no good. She's not a good person.
She's a bad egg.
Where John Constantine constantly tries to do good and fails, Joanna Constantine constantly does bad and is quite good at it. So that's pretty interesting. Now, there's a little bit of debate on whether she's going to play John Constantine. I don't see why she would. But hey, what difference does it make?
But it says here Joanna Constantine, Ben.
But on Google, if you type in Sandman casting, it says John Constantine, Michael. So that's interesting. That's interesting. So there's a little bit of debate there, mostly on this podcast, but I'm sure it is actually Joanna Constantine.
Mostly on this podcast, and mostly in the last few minutes. I suppose Harley Quinn is pasty white, but she wasn't replaced by a person of colour.
You absolutely could, though, because it is grease paint in the case of Harley Quinn.
Harley
So
Quinn
just-
is easy peasy. Easy
Really?
peasy.
Like-
Benjamin,
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, obviously, while I don't agree with it, I do generally understand the complaints of people who don't like their beloved characters being reimagined. Some of them, Ben, don't like their beloved characters being reimagined in any way, shape, or form. Some are racist, Ben, and they're bad eggs, and they should go in the fire.
Some are just racist.
Some are just racist, Ben. You know, we talk about this all the time. Some people just, you know, they don't like adaptation, and you know, fair enough. They would be just as unhappy with a new costume or a new attitude for their favorite character. The same people, Ben. You could hardly argue that the people who hated Keanu Reeves as Constantine were racists.
No, they were just moany, weren't they?
They just didn't. Well, Ben, did you think Keanu Reeves was a good John Constantine?
That's not a Constantine movie, Michael. It is.
It's called John. His name is John Constantine.
No. But it's in everything but name. It's a completely different type of film. It's just not the same.
Yes,
type of film.
but that is exactly what the Constantine fans were angry with.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
It would be unbecoming of us, Ben, to lump people who think it's the wrong artistic choice in with the racists, while also, Ben, making sure that we put the racists straight in the bin and then roll that bin down a hill into the fire.
Right in the racist bin. Put them in.
Get in the racist bin.
Get in the racist bin.
But a big row of butts, Ben, like Miss Universe. But
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they get rid of that as well while we're at it.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Right in the misogyny bin.
A big row of butts, Ben. I don't get why anyone would complain about, of all things, Sandman, because Sandman has always been very fluid in not only its depiction of characters, but their genders, their sexuality, their appearance over time. Like, of all the things to be butthurt about, Ben,
this ain't one.
This isn't the one. This is the one where you let it go, because that's the whole point.
Like we've seen Black Morpheus, we've seen Cat Morpheus, we've seen bloody Fairy Morpheus, we've seen Crow Morpheus,
we've seen sexy man Lucifer, we've seen sexy lady Lucifer, we've seen sexy androgynous Lucifer. You can have whatever you want in whatever that show's called.
I think that was one of the early, like, well established things about the Sandman universe, is that those beings are generally perceived in the form that your culture dictates.
They're very fluid.
They're very fluid.
They were fluid, Ben, long before gender fluid was a term that people used.
Yes, and that was a very Neil Gaiman thing to do. He was like, we're all a little bit of everything. And that seemed to be a real defining characteristic of some of those early comics. I mean, it was done very, very well in Sandman, and in other cases, like The Invisibles, not so well. But still, that kind of chaotic spirit of, I can be this, I can be that, I can be a little bit of this, sprinkle a little bit of that in there, and it's absolutely fine. So I see nothing wrong, Michael, with casting a woman of colour as Death. I'm kind of like... Now, that being said, Michael, back in the day, if you'd had 15-year-old Ben on this podcast, it would have lasted 3 episodes, because I would have been there going, and I would have had a little fit. But with the hindsight,
your medication has improved in many ways.
Yeah, it's a pretty rigorous regimen of medication, and it's done wonders, Michael. Science has helped. Go on.
Benjamin, in much less controversial casting news, Jamelia DeMille is in the Marvel Cinematic Television's She-Hulk show.
Do you know what, Michael? I'm not excited for that show in the least.
I can't believe it's happening, Ben. It's such a bizarre thing to happen. She's arguably playing Titania, Ben, your favourite giantess after Gwendolyn Christie.
I don't know who Titania is. Who's Titania?
She's a red-headed lady who becomes big.
Oh, I do know Titania. Okay.
You would often see her, Ben, teamed up with Crusher Creel, a.k.a. the Absorbing Man.
I'd like to see both of them in the She-Hulk show. I would watch the crap out of that. But look, Jamelia Jamil's in it. That's going to be good, isn't it?
Jamelia Jamil's she's generally
enjoyable.
Good. Yeah. She's going to be a baddie, Ben.
She's going to be a baddie. We also got news that we might have Scar, son of the Hulk, in the She-Hulk series, though that's a rumor. I enjoy that. And of course, people were like, how is that possible? He was on Sakaar. He was a gladiator champion. We saw women get out of his bed. That's how that happened. I suppose if you wanted to be really on the nose, Sakaar is a fucking stone's throw from Scar. So you may as well, get that on board. Right? Yeah.
Ben, what's this program you watched?
Oh yeah, so Michael, two things came out on streaming this week that I have cast my eyeballs over. One is pretty interesting, Michael. Well, no, both are interesting. Let's be honest here, Michael. It's Trese from Netflix. So Netflix has started up their own anime division.
Ben,
yes,
I think it's pronounced Tracy.
No, it's not. It's Trese. I promise you,
Okay.
it's Trese.
Okay.
And it's named after the lead character, who is Alexandra Trese. And it's set in Manila in the Philippines. And it's
Oh.
based on a pretty popular manga from the Philippines of the same name. And
Then
Netflix...
a manga
yeah.
from the Philippines.
From the Philippines, Michael.
But mangas are from Japan.
Yes, what will they think of next? Crazy times. So Alexandra Trese, I suppose, is a bit of a Filipino Dylan Dog.
Go on.
She's
Ben.
yeah,
You're always calling people a Dylan Dog from a particular country.
but that's because it's a very solid archetype.
Go on.
He's kind of a trendsetter there. Arguably, Keanu Reeves in bloody 2000's Constantine is the same thing. He's a bloody American Dylan Dog.
Right.
But anyway, she plays she embodies the role of what's called a Lacan.
Oh,
And
like
Lacan
him.
is a Lacan, and the Lacan is the embodiment, the bridge between the supernatural world and the human world. And what we're exposed to in this show, Michael, is a huge range of Filipino mythology and folklore. And we get to meet different creatures from Filipino mythology, and it's a really different perspective. It's not one that I had any experience of.
Benjamin,
Yeah, go on.
I wouldn't be able to tell you a lot about Filipino mythology.
No, neither would I, Mike. I can now. I can tell you a bit more.
Go on then.
But
What's going on over there?
So there's a lot of really cool kind of tribal divisions and things like that. They have a race of horsemen, kind of like centaurs, but if they were more horsey. They've got aswangs, which are like Filipino vampires.
Ben, I'm going to stop you there for a second.
Go on.
Did you say asswangs?
I did, yeah.
The word ass and then the word wang.
Yeah, I did, yeah. This is very culturally inappropriate, Michael. You need to reel it back in, buddy.
Asswang, though, that's the word.
Look, my pronunciation could be a fraction off, but it is pretty solid.
Very good. Okay, please carry on. Tell me more about asswangs, Ben.
So you get exposed to the idea of their form of goblins. They have a whole race of mushroom people, friendly spirits who are mushroom people and stuff like that. But they don't shy away from all the bloody stuff of Filipino mythology. They have their own goddess of death called Erabu. She's kind of a character in it sometimes. It's a pretty interesting show, Michael. From an action point of view, it's a little bit exposition heavy here and there, but they're trying to fill in huge chunks of Filipino mythology as they go along, so it's understandable. They could
What's
spend
it about, Ben? What's it about?
Alexandra Trese is the next in the line of Lacans, and there have been accords put in place by her father to keep the balance between the supernatural realm and the human realm. So basically humans aren't preyed on left, right and centre and eaten and destroyed.
It's Lost Girl.
What's that, Michael?
Lost Girl was the Canadian TV series about the woman who is the bridge between the supernatural world and the human world.
Oh, okay.
And the fragile treaty that was in place between the various supernatural factions to leave humans alone.
Yep, so that's it. You got it.
Is that okay? Right.
That's what you're looking at. It's a pretty
common trope.
It is a pretty common trope, but this one is sort of interesting. The animation is a little bit cheap here and there.
Oh no.
But it is an enjoyable show. The voice acting makes up for it. You really invest in the characters and they feel like real people here and there. You get kind of a good sense of Filipino society, what's correct, what's not correct, what's valued in the society. One of the unusual things is that these supernatural creatures all seem to live alongside humans. So this is a Manila that accepts that there are supernatural creatures. She's not working in the shadows. Like, she's called in by police officers to take a look. And it's her job to maintain that peace. And it kind of takes the form of a crime a week or a crime of the week kind of thing, and in kind of classic television style, it builds to a much deeper mystery as we move towards the final episodes.
They always do. Ben, it sounds a little bit like Watch Out, Will Smith, there's ogres.
Watch out, Will Smith, there's ogres. Yeah, it's a bit like Brightburn, Michael. It's not that's much better name.
Brightburn. Oh, it's just called Bright. It was just called
Yeah,
Bright. Yeah, that's what it was called.
Brightburn is the other one.
The evil
with
Superman
the
kid.
little evil Superman kid. So the only thing that lets this down, Michael, I think, is probably the two-dimensionality of it. They don't seem, for me, they don't spend. Yeah.
Ben, it's a cartoon. All cartoons are two-dimensional.
That's fair. I meant in terms of characterization, I would say that Alexandra Trese suffers from the strong woman who can't be kept down. She's not really given a lot of dimension. She's just a tough lady who doesn't fail.
We'll get to that later, Ben.
Will we?
Well, yeah.
What's that about?
This is in our whole thing.
Oh, yeah, our whole thing. Yeah. She's just a tough lady who doesn't fail, and I think the character's a little bit weaker for it. There's no real humor in the show. I think it could probably use a little nudge in that direction. It could probably use a little bit of fun, a little bit of a Marvel treatment here and there. But overall, Michael, worth a watch. Purely
Benjamin,
for the experience of seeing a bunch of Filipino mythology brought to life.
Watch out for them ass wangs. Benjamin, how many episodes are there and how long are they?
There are 6 episodes and they're about 30 minutes each.
Oh, that's not a lot of time for me to invest.
No, you could happily sit there and do that. It's the latest in Netflix's line of their anime kind of department. So we've had Castlevania, we've had Blood of Zeus, now we've got Trese. From the little bit I've read online, the Filipino community is incredibly excited to see one of their very popular kind of comic books brought to life and to see a little bit of Filipino representation on screen.
How excitement, Ben. Benjamin!
Yeah.
Let's do a big old dirty spoiler warning for the Marvel television program Loki.
It's spoilers. Hiddleston's at it again.
He's got no shirt on this time.
He's got no shirt on. Spoilers. So, Michael, we've had the audacity, we've had the timidity, and now we've got the fuckery.
What's going on, Ben?
The fuckery. So this is... Michael, I was very excited this week because this show was coming out, and I was very much on board for it.
You're very much, Ben, a Hiddlestan.
I am a Hiddlestan. In every sense of the word, Michael. I've got a
Tony
big poster
Hiddlestan.
Tony Hiddleston.
To call him.
Yeah, that's Jesus Christ. Anyway, June 9th.
Yes.
The Wednesday just passed, for anyone listening to this episode, saw the premiere of Loki on Disney Plus. And Michael, what interest?
What interest and intrigue, Ben?
What a tumbling of the Marvel Universe.
Oh, Ben. What's going on?
They've just undermined their entire phase 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. All that shit. Remember all that shit? Irrelevant. Doesn't matter. That was all local bullshit.
And I love it because people are losing their fucking minds about it, Michael. Some people are so upset by the revelation that let's jump in. Loki, the variant Loki is the Loki that we saw escape at the end of Endgame with Tesseract.
He's like, I'm out of here.
So the Loki that we're dealing with here is not really the Loki we've come to know and love. It's Loki before any kind of growth, experience, or remorse.
Right. I'm going to cut across you, Ben, and you're
on.
going to have to accept my apologies for this.
That's okay.
But that, I thought, was one of the most interesting and intriguing issues and things that happen in this episode. So, the Loki that we all know and love, Ben, he's had 6 films of character development.
He has.
So he got beaten up at the end of Endgame. No, not Endgame. He got beaten up at the end of...
Avengers.
What was it called? Avengers, yes, that famous film Avengers. He got beaten up. He got taken to jail in Thor, the worst Thor, but the Thor which seemingly was the crux around which the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe revolves. Because he keeps coming back to the Dark World.
Yeah.
Every single flashback in every film just goes back to the Dark World. Who knew that such a boring film was so pivotal, Ben?
Not me.
So he developed in the Dark World, Ben.
Yeah.
Then he got further development in Ragnarok.
Yes.
And finally his end in and his last sprig of development in Infinity War.
Yeah, so his redemption arc is kicked off by the death of Frigga.
Frigga, his mother, which he accidentally causes. And Ben, we have witnessed him over 9 years, over 5 films in 9 years, develop.
As a character.
And then, as a character, right? And then we go back, and he's going to be the lead of this show, but he's the snivelly, slimy, eye-pokey, evil, horrible Loki from 2012.
And they tried to retcon that pretty quickly, Michael.
That is the crux of this entire episode is sit yourself down there, Loki, now. We've got the Marvels, we've got the DVDs. Sit yourself down there and catch yourself up with your own character development. Quick as you like. 10 minutes, if you could, please.
If you could just stick that in the eyeballs and leave them both in. Huh?
Leave them both in, you son of a bitch. And then, Ben, by the end of it, we are to believe, all right, we're caught up. This is the Loki we know.
So, Michael, I think that argument is very solid, and I think it's a little bit... my least favourite scene, Michael, was the slideshow.
Right.
The sitting down and the slideshow. I think it's very sneaky to say that, no, I don't actually enjoy hurting people. It's all an act, and I've suddenly realised that, and I think that's a little bit lazy. What I do think is going to happen, though, Michael, and my favourite part of this is I think he's still slimy, snivelly Loki, because there's a very key line to this, Michael, and it's to do with the Infinity Stones. So, the Tesseract is taken off him by a member of the admin staff.
Clarence, I think.
Clarence, I think, is his name, which is a weird callback to It's a Wonderful Life. I think that's probably going to be... He's going to be a little conscience bugbear.
If that even is his name, Ben, it's a good chance it's not.
I've decided that it's Clarence now, so we're gonna keep that. Right. So we find out, Michael, Loki pulls a classic bit of trickery, which I quite enjoyed watching, and he slips on out of there, Michael, and he goes to explore the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, which is a huge retro 1960s style bureaucracy.
Yeah. The only thing missing, Ben, is the stench of cigarettes.
That's it. We just don't put cigarettes on TV anymore. But if we did, they'd be in the TVA.
Everyone would be smoking cigarettes at their desk in the TVA.
Yeah, it's like Mad Men, middle-class Mad Men, without the cigarettes. So he goes in to try and get the Tesseract back, and he finds a whole bunch of Infinity Stones in the drawers of one probably not named Clarence. And he has the realization, he says, some of these people use them as paperweights, sometimes. And everybody, Michael, has lost their minds on this. He's like, what do you mean? They're the most powerful force in the universe. Yes, that universe. But if you take them out of that and put them in a weird interdimensional bloody bureaucracy, they're probably not that powerful.
They're just like stones.
My favorite line, Michael, is the line where he says, "Is this the greatest power in the universe?" And he's staring up at the big TVA board. And I think Loki fully intends to take control of the TVA.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what makes me think that he hasn't had his complete character reversal. What we might see here, Michael, is character development over the course of a series. But I think he's playing Owen Wilson like a fiddle, Michael. I'm not certain he's not acting the old Mickaroonie.
But remember, Ben, that Owen Wilson says that to him. Owen Wilson says, you're going to have to weasel in with us if you want to take over here too. So Owen Wilson is maybe playing him like a fiddle.
I mean, there's a lot of fiddle playing, Michael. It's
much fiddling.
It's basically a fla. It's mad.
There's a fla kyo going on, Ben. And everyone's getting fiddled. Benjamin.
Very niche Irish reference there for anyone who isn't from Ireland.
It's about half the listeners, Ben, are going to go, what the hell is a flag yo? But maybe they'll look it up, Ben, and then maybe they'll come to Ireland and they'll go to a flag yo, and they'll be like, this is grand.
We'll be the men responsible for revitalising the fla in 2021.
I think the fla's doing all right. Benjamin.
Probably. Yeah, go on.
It looks so expensive.
Oh, Michael, the budget. This is where the budget for bloody... This is where the budget for bloody WandaVision went. This is the bloody budget for where Falcon and the Winter Soldier went. This is much more high grade than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Michael.
Well, Benjamin, I disagree with you there, because Falcon and the Winter Soldier very much looks like Captain America Civil War. It very much looks like Captain America. Like that. That's where Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the closest to being set in the real normal world of the three shows.
Fair.
And it very much looks like it's set in the real normal world.
Yeah.
As it should. Whereas this looks like it's set in a world which is a step of weirdness above even Thor Ragnarok.
Anything that we've come across, Michael, in the Marvel universe. This is odd as shit.
There's all sorts of mad shit going on, Ben.
Yeah, it's a bit mental. One of my favourite moments, Michael, is where as Owen Wilson introduces himself as Agent Mobius, we get to look out at a very Mobius scene. For any big comic book fans, Mobius used to draw these mad kind of technoscapes. He's a French artist, and he used to draw these big, mad technoscapes.
I think he still does. Is he dead?
He's dead, yeah. Mobius is dead.
Is he dead? Okay, he can't draw any more of it.
But yeah, we look out and we see a big giant bloody thing. And the part, Michael, I'd say that's going to really, really scorch some people's buns is the fact that he says, "What magic is this?" And Owen Wilson's like, "Oh, it's not magic.
Yeah.
There's no magic here."
No
and
magic.
it's like, wait, what? What? Like, because I remember we had that incident with Asgard where they were like, "Oh, you think it's magic, but it's just very advanced technology," says Thor. But now we find out that there's another layer of bloody magic that even Asgardians can't understand. They're like, oh my.
Everything's magic. Benjamin,
Yes.
what do you think? How is the fandom, Ben? How are we going to ruin this? In the same way we ruined WandaVision by looking for Mephisto everywhere and then being upset by the relative low-key finale. And the same way we kind of ruined Falcon and the Winter Soldier by over-analysing the budget problems and the production problems caused by the coronavirus. How are we going to ruin this? Are we going to ruin this by too high expectations? Are we going to expect this to be earth-shattering? Because I've already heard, Ben, the entire plot of Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness, is going to spin out of this. I've also heard that the Spider-Man universe is going to spin out of this. I'm hearing, Ben, everything is going to spin out of this. And to me, as a man on the street, Ben, with leaden action figures in my hands doing a flex, it doesn't make sense to have Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness, spin out of this, because you don't want to have to assume that all of your audience for a big blockbuster film has seen a TV show.
Yeah, that's a terrible plan. Terrible strategy. I think that number one is how we're going to be disappointed. I think this is the Loki swan song. I think this is Tom Hiddleston's retirement from the Marvel Universe. So what I think is going to happen is that there's a couple of... Would you like to hear my possibilities, Michael? Because I was giving
fan theories. Okay, yeah, let's set ourselves... Ben, we'll call this new segment Setting Ourselves Up for Disappointment.
Yeah, because we do it every week anyway with all the other Marvel shows, so why not?
Let's do it.
One of the things I thought that was very funny is the red devil stained glass and the thing that looked an awful lot like Mephisto.
It looked like Mephisto, man.
It looked an awful lot like Mephisto. And Owen Wilson goes and says, "Oh, it's a devil bearing gift." So I'm going to call it here, Michael. Jerry Seinfeld's going to appear in this as the alternate Loki, and that's what we're going to deal with. In actual fact, Michael, I think we're going to find out that the TVA is corrupt. I think we're going to find out that the boys at the top, those three gods or whatever they are, celestial beings, I think they're not so good.
I think they're not so existing.
Also very good. Perhaps the entire narrative, Michael, is not so good because the Minutemen, Michael, look a little bit fascist.
Little bit fascist.
In
their black uniforms.
A little bit fascist. And their extreme measures, also vaporizing people because they didn't take a ticket, Michael. I mean, a little bit fascist.
But Benjamin, the thing is, 99.99% of the people who end up there do get vaporized anyway. Yeah. That's the whole point of that place.
Yeah, it's to remove the variants. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. So what else was going to happen to that guy?
But I think, Michael, that we're going to find out the TVA ain't so great, and we're possibly going to see Loki and Owen Wilson take it down from the inside. Which may cause ripples, which may cause other movies to spin out of it. Unconsciously spin out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we're going to be able to reference, oh, well, the Time Variance Authority's collapsed, so now we all have to deal with this shit. Because that doesn't make any sense, Michael. As you said,
no, you haven't seen it.
That's a big gamble.
Yeah.
That's a big gamble.
Yeah. Do you think there's a Lady Loki?
Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
That's what lots of people are saying, Ben.
I'd watch the fuck out of that.
Yeah, there might be a Lady Loki.
I mean, I'm going to watch the fuck out of this show anyway, Michael. But, like, I would very much enjoy that. I'd also like to see Tom Hiddleston have a go at Tom Hiddleston. I'd like to see... Do you know what I'd like to see, Michael? And this is just a complete flash thought, so it could be...
An all-white version of Loki, and then they have a conversation about the ship of Theseus.
And Idris Elba plays him. He's all white. He's chalky white.
It's chalky white flavor.
It's done. No, what I would like to see, Michael, is I would like to see another variant of Loki from a later time in the timeline.
Isn't that what we're getting? Isn't that who he's hunting?
Yeah, but we don't know if it's earlier Loki, or later Loki. I would like to see a Loki post-Ragnarok variant. that's doing a little bit of heroics, Michael, and trying to stop the TVA. And new Loki, who's like, what do you mean you don't want power? And he's like, well, brother, you learn. Or, well, me, you learn. And it'll be...
Because he's getting all those... It can't be Idris Elba. He plays Heimdall.
He plays Heimdall.
That would be too confusing. He's gathering up those things, Ben. He's gathering up the timeline replacers.
The charge? The bomb?
They have a charge that wipes out errant branches of the timeline, Ben.
Yeah, just gives them an scrub it up.
Yeah, and hopefully they use that on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 6 and 7. But, Benjamin, in the meantime... Take that, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, did you notice the actually, funnily enough, there's a really brief moment, Michael, and I was wondering if they were going to talk about it, where Coulson dies.
Yes.
And he goes, I was wondering if they're going to, you failed there.
Yeah,
and
I thought they might.
He was, they didn't, because it doesn't exist, because they just don't want to acknowledge that fucking show.
Absolutely wussed out of that one. Especially, Ben. Especially when there's a scene where it asks, are you sure you're not a robot? And as you well know, that is what happened to Agent Coulson in the end. Anyway, listen, Ben. He seems to be gathering up all of those, presumably to wipe out a full timeline. So perhaps it's a Loki from an entirely different timeline, Ben.
I know. Well, I mean, there's another bloody interesting thing that we could see, Michael, isn't it? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Look, I'm looking forward to it. What we might do over the course of the next couple of weeks is we might publish a little "Who is this variant of Loki?" and we'll have a look at the comics and
very
see
good.
if there's any
People will
interesting.
like that.
People will like that, Michael. They get a little bit of informative content for them during the week. Anyway, Michael, I'll be watching the next episode. I thought it was great. I think it's probably the strongest start of any of the Marvel TV shows so far. I was hook, line, and sinker, in it to win it from the beginning. Enjoyed it thoroughly, despite our little criticisms here and there.
I am looking forward to a bit more action, Ben. I thought there was a lot of talk, a lot of scene setting. It was good talk and scene setting, but I'm looking forward to something happening.
Yeah, I think the timey-wimey stuff was really good for action sequences, though. We got to see that played around with a good bit. I quite enjoyed that. Also, the pettiness of Loki when he just keeps sending your one backwards in the loop. He's like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, Michael. I think Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson could be the new bromance. I think they have excellent chemistry together. I think it's going to be very good.
And Benjamin, I'm going to get my first Owen Wilson action figure.
Yeah! Isn't that exciting?
Very exciting. Very exciting, Ben. He has a funny nose.
I'm still waiting for the Steve Zissou action figure set from Wes Anderson. I would buy the fuck out of every last one of them.
I think that exists already. I think you might be onto something there. There's something which already exists.
Oh, excellent. I love being onto things like that. So, Michael.
Yes, Benjamin?
Criticism's a weird thing, isn't it? We sit here and pontificate on things every week.
Everyone's a fucking cricket, Ben.
Everyone's a cricket. That is the name of this episode. It's been decided.
You're very welcome.
That's excellent. Well done. I'm going to write that down as we speak. Michael, you came to me on your doorstep after I had come to you. And you said to me, wouldn't it be cool to do an episode on the way the criticism has changed? And I said, what the fuck do you mean?
Yeah. And then I said, Ben,
Go on.
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I don't really know what I mean. And you know what, Ben? I still don't know if I have a point here.
This is going to be a great podcast.
I think this is going to be a very weak podcast. But Ben, I think the long and short of this podcast is... okay, here's a bit of background, right, Benjamin? I have watched and thoroughly enjoyed the TV show The Nevers.
Oh, wow. Okay, you watched the whole thing.
I've watched the whole thing, all 6 episodes of season 1 of The Nevers, Ben, and I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. It's probably my favourite show so far of this year. And that's including WandaVision, Ben, and The Boys, and... Was The Boys last year or this year?
It was last year.
But, yeah, I think it was. But I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it, Ben. And I've been reading a lot of the criticism of it.
Go on.
And the criticism, Ben... I found it very interesting criticism.
Go on now, tell me more.
Because, first of all, when you're talking about criticism, Ben, there is the age-old issue of separating the art from the artist.
Okay.
So a lot of modern criticism of The Nevers is not criticism of the show The Nevers. It's criticism of the not very pleasant person Joss Whedon.
Yeah, big old dickhead Whedon, yeah.
He sounds like he might be a bit of a dickhead. Having said that, though, Ben...
Go on.
Even though he might be a bit of a dickhead, And there are certainly a lot of actors who thoroughly dislike him. He
Mhm.
also seems to have a very loyal group of actors who will be in absolutely anything he makes, no questions asked.
Yeah, because they need the money, Michael.
Is it, though? Or do they... You know,
But give me some
I mean,
examples here, Michael. Come on.
well, you have, for example, Olivia Williams.
Don't know who that is.
She's a British actress, Ben. She played Lady Olivia Bidlow in The Nevers, the lady in the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, okay, I do know her.
And she played practically the same character in Dollhouse, where
She
she
did.
was the madam of the dollhouse. So, you know, you have your Alan Tudyk, Ben, who comes back for anything Joss Whedon does.
Is he in the Nevers?
No, he's not in The Nevers.
Well, then he's not in everything Joss Whedon bloody does, is he?
There's only been 6 episodes so far.
I bet he plays a mad variant Never at some point who...
I wouldn't be even remotely surprised, Ben. Or, like, there's going to be spoilers for The Nevers in this discussion. But anyway...
I don't think anybody cares, Michael.
That's the interesting thing. I don't get why no one cares, because it's a very good show. It's one of the most inventive and interesting shows on TV at the moment.
You see,
yeah.
that's the
Go on.
problem, Michael, though. Our society is dictated by people. The auteur theory has come full foul. So you once mentioned on this podcast, Michael, and I thought it was a brilliant statement to make. You don't agree with the auteur theory, the great auteur theory of directors and things like that. And it's true, because a lot of the time there's an entire team behind that auteur or director or something like that makes the thing happen.
Right. I don't remember saying that, but it sounds plausible.
You did, and it was an excellent point. It made me really rethink the idea of singular genius in arts, and it's a complete fallacy, because if you actually look at that, a lot of the time when cinematography is praised in a film or something like that, it's more like someone Roger Deakins, who's head of cinematography, as opposed to the actual director. But anyway, Michael.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like my philosophy.
But anyway.
Yes.
However, the rest of Western civilization, I can't speak to the other ones because I'm not part of them, but the ones that we're plugged into.
You've got a pretty good in with Filipino society.
I do now, yeah. So the auteur theory is that, you know, there are singular beings of greatness, and they make great art, and that's who they are as people. Unfortunately, Michael, in investing in that theory, we very much tie the value of work produced by those people to what we think of those people.
Right.
So we see this happen all over the place, Michael, where our society, in the beginning of the 2000s, we saw a lot of people, you know, looking at problematic. Sorry, at the beginning of the 2010s, we saw a lot of people looking at problematic TV shows.
Go on.
And the things that we didn't like about our favorite TV shows. It might be a trope like, you know, victimizing women as motivation for their characters or something like that.
Or
now,
Friends, Ben.
Or Friends, which is very problematic, Michael. Where are the gay characters? Where are the people of color? Where are the weird condemning of Joey's oddly manipulative tactics to get laid?
Everyone is white, Ben, in the world of Friends.
Yeah, everybody's white. There are no black people in New York, which is categorically untrue, Michael. But anyway, we used to target the show, but I think what we've seen, Michael, in the late 2010s and now in the 2020s, is we've seen a transition to problematic auteurs or problematic writers or problematic things, and we've tied the value of a work to the person who created it.
The interesting thing about Joss Whedon, Ben, is, and you know, this isn't a defense of Joss Whedon, because I think he's probably a prick.
I think he's more than likely a prick, yes.
I think he's almost certainly a prick. Having said that, though, still hasn't been accused of anything untoward, which I think he's just unpleasant. He's just an asshole. Prick. He's just hard to work with. But famously, so were a lot of directors. Who was the one who made people mad? Who did Apocalypse Now?
Stanley Kubrick.
And he nearly killed everyone.
Stanley Kubrick's a big prick. No, that was Brian De Palma who did Apocalypse Now. Famously... Oh, no, wait, hang on. I need to look that up.
I think it was Stanley Kubrick. Anyway, Ben. Look, here's where I'm going, right? Yeah. One of the interesting things about Joss Whedon that makes him a bit of an exception to what you've just said is Buffy made such a splash and made such a big deal of his name.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, the L's FFC.
FFC.
Benjamin, I don't think there's anyone in television who has such a lasting legacy of people reviewing something that he's made as the newest thing from Joss Whedon. There are in cinema, for sure, Zacharin Snyder, your favorite author, Zacharin Snyder. One of the most interesting things, Ben, is I haven't seen a single review of The Nevers that isn't about Joss Whedon.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's not a review of The Nevers. It's a comparison to his previous efforts, and who is the author behind Carnival Row?
Great question, Michael. I don't know.
Haven't a fucking breeze. Very similar type of show.
Very.
You know, supernatural Victorian shenanigans with strong female leads and the supernatural mingling with the normal.
I would love to see a Carnival Row season 2. I don't think we're ever going to get it.
Likely to get fucking The Nevers season 2, to be honest, than a Carnival Row season 2, because I think,
which is very sad.
Why?
Because I really liked Carnival Row.
I really like The Nevers, though. This is the amazing thing. So the other interesting thing, Ben, is once Buffy hit, like Buffy has a lasting place in popular culture, Ben. Like it's seminal. But
it is.
It wasn't always. It wasn't born seminal.
It became seminal, Michael. It earned its place.
But that's my interest. That's the point I kind of have, that has been bothering me. Not so much bothering me. It's the interesting point that if you go back, Ben, and you read reviews of Buffy from the time of Buffy, it's mixed to popular. So, user reviews, there were big Buffy stans, as you would call them these days, and there were the very first beginnings of Buffy fan websites and stuff like that. But there is a lot less popular, public, person-on-the-street criticism available from back then. So most...
Yeah, because we didn't have YouTube.
Or IMDb, or Rotten Tomatoes, or the podcast Sure Look, Sure Listen, for example. So if
taking a pop culture once a week, every week.
Ben, if you go back and you look at the early Buffy reviews, it's mostly stuff like, it's bright and breezy and fine and fun and, girl power, that's good, isn't it? It's about time and so on. But
women deserve a fair shake.
But it's not all glowing. And to go back, like if you read the Guardian's review of Buffy from 1997, Ben, let me tell you, they weren't that interested.
They probably weren't. And now, Michael, what you'll see once a month is a bloody retrospective on Buffy.
Exactly, Ben. In the Guardian.
And how it changed television.
Yes.
Yeah, in the Guardian.
Yeah. And then, Ben, the incredible irony of it is, on the next week's episode of The Guardian, they'll review... Issue,
Michael.
Yeah.
It's a newspaper.
Edition, I believe, is the right word.
Edition, you're right. We're both wrong and you're right.
So, in the next edition, you'll read a scathing review of The Nevers that reads like it could have been a review of Buffy from 1997.
So you're looking at the cyclical nature of criticism, Michael. Is that what you're
I don't know where I'm landing. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I have a point. I thought, when we started talking about this, I thought a point was going to coalesce. But a point hasn't coalesced.
But it hasn't.
Because, Ben, it might just be that The Nevers is not as good as Buffy. I actually think, in many, many cases, The Nevers Season 1 is better than Buffy Season 1.
Hands down.
Because Buffy Season 1 was, nascent. It was a nascent babe of a show.
And also, Joss Whedon didn't know what he was doing as well as he knows what he's doing in the Nevers season.
The visuals,
like
the characterization, the development, everything about the Nevers season 1 is better than Buffy season 1, especially the first 6 episodes. But you wouldn't think that to read criticism. So, Ben, look, I've devised a little game for you, right?
Go on.
I've got some quotes here. Right? Yeah. These are quotes from reviews. And I'm going to read them out to you, and I would like you to tell me which Joss Whedon show you think they are in reference to.
Very good.
Benjamin, do you need me to list the Joss Whedon shows?
No, I know them.
Go on, list them then.
Bloody Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Dollhouse.
Yeah.
Angel.
Yes.
The Nevers.
Yes.
bloody star. What was it? Firefly.
Firefly.
Yeah.
I've left out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because...
Good, because it's shit.
That's the first quote. Good, because it's shit. Ben Cullaby 2020. Which show is it in relation to? No, all right, here we go,
Go
right?
on.
Here we go,
Yeah.
right? So, I'm going to read this out to you, and you're going to tell me which show it's related to. And then you tell me, if you can't get it, you can ask for the year of the review.
Excellent. Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Ben, do you want me to do a critic's voice?
Yes, do a critic's voice.
The brilliance of Joss Whedon's funny, tragic synthesis of most film and TV genres, literary conceit, and pop culture tropes remains undimmed.
Dollhouse.
No. That's not from Dollhouse, Benjamin. Think about it. Don't just say something dumb.
That's pretty much the entire nature of my podcasting persona. Just say something dumb.
Just saying something dumb. Just react off the cuff with something dumb.
Okay, so the literary... Okay.
The brilliance of Joss Whedon's funny, tragic synthesis of most film and TV genres, literary conceits, and pop culture tropes remains undimmed.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a good review, isn't it?
Well, no, it's a bit sycophantic, but it's probably...
Great listening, this, Ben.
tropes.
I'll tell you, Ben, it's from 2017, this review.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what came out.
Benjamin, that is a 2017 review from The Guardian of Buffy Season 1.
What?
Yeah.
They tricked me,
Isn't that
the
good?
bastards.
They've tricked you. Well, they haven't, Ben, because it's in the byline for them. I've somewhat tricked you. Are you ready for the second one, Ben?
Come on.
The results are mighty ragged in the season opener. The show takes strange shifts in tone, the dialogue isn't campy enough, and the violence grows tiresome.
Firefly.
That, Ben, is a review of Buffy from 1997. Benjamin, have a go at this one. Have a go at this one, then. But it could, tightened and focused, be so much more. Philippa Goslet, it's over to you. Can yet another woman clear up yet another man's mess?
That has to be Dollhouse, doesn't it?
No, that's the Nevers.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Benjamin, you suck at this game.
No, I don't. I just hate Joss Whedon and don't give a shit about the shows that he makes.
Very good. Benjamin,
Go on.
try this one. Try this one.
This is a stupid game. Go on.
This is a great game. The listeners will be really enjoying you making an absolute balls of it.
It's the only
And
reason
Ben,
they
and this
listen
one has
every
one
week.
of your catchphrases.
Go on.
And there are, here and there, attempts to give their adventures touches of frolic and merriment. They don't always work.
Firefly.
Benjamin,
Yeah.
you've got a point.
Yeah, that one.
That is a review, Ben, of Firefly from 2002.
Okay, that makes sense.
Firefly, Ben, the absolute revered sci-fi classic Firefly, was not very well received in 2002.
No, that's why I only got season 1, Michael.
I know, half of season 1. It starts off, Benjamin.
Go on.
It actually says Benjamin in the review.
Okay,
here. It starts off, Benjamin, for the first few episodes, you son of a bitch, as a fairly standard adventure of the week.
Okay.
But then a larger story arc kicks in, and all bets are off, which makes the whole experience incredibly satisfying and complex.
It's just describing good writing. That's not...
But which show is it, Ben?
Dollhouse.
It is Dollhouse, and that's a
Yeah.
review of Dollhouse in 2009.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't really... Benjamin,
Go on.
nobody is likely to take this oddball camp exercise seriously, though the violence can get decidedly creepy.
Ooh. Buffy, I guess, is it?
Yeah, that's from Buffy.
Yeah.
That's from 1997. That's a 1997 review of Series 1 of Buffy
There you
from
go.
the New York Times.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, my main point is it's history's repeating itself. It's critics hate them. They get cancelled. 8 years later, you will get glowing reviews, not only from the public,
Okay.
but also from the same, not the same critics, because I imagine the critics will have a bit of decorum and stick to their guns, but from the people coming up beneath those critics. So what I'm saying is basically, in 2035,
Go on.
there's going to be someone writing for The Guardian saying The Nevers was the best show that never got its shot.
Get out of town.
That's what I'm saying.
They will. That is inevitably what's going to happen. It could be you, Michael, after you've taken up your position as head writer at The Guardian.
And Ben, I'll be doing that voice the whole time, and I'll insist on dictating everything.
Yeah, that'll be good, while smoking big cigars.
People will thoroughly enjoy it.
People will thoroughly enjoy it, Michael. That'll be good. Michael!
Yes?
Go on.
I was going to ask you if you had any thoughts on, because this is where, other than my main point being The Nevers is quite good, leave it alone, where this seemed to be going was on the, what's the word I'm looking for? Popularization is the wrong word. The availability of being a critic to the public.
I think
any thoughts on that?
I think that's shifted massively, Michael, in the realm of Twitter and basically the online world, because you have like specialized publications now, Michael, that kind of, tout themselves as experts in a certain genre. So you're looking at the likes of Gizmodo or CBR or, I don't know, take your pick of any of them, really.
Video games
like IGN, exactly. And a lot of these things started out as very grassroots movements, Michael. Like they were reviews by fans for fans, and their expertise were less born out of an education and criticism and more of I've played a lot of video games, I know what I'm talking about. I've read a lot of comics, I know what I'm talking about. But the great failure of that, Michael, is the availability of those critics through the likes of Twitter, Instagram, etc. etc. It's the same with authors, Michael. It's kind of interesting. Like you hear every once in a while about, certain comic book authors getting death threats because they made Captain America a Nazi for a story arc or something like that. I think the propensity towards arguing your corner as opposed to taking on different perspectives has probably dominated much of our criticism today. I think it works for clickability if you make a big, broad statement, stand your ground, don't give in, even though you might be confronted with a much better argument for something. And I think that dominates 90% of our discourse, especially around criticism today.
That's very interesting, Ben. So do you have a criticism? Do you have a better criticism of the Nevers that might change my mind other than just going, just reading this shit, I hate the Nevers?
Yeah, no, I don't. But I don't stake my reputation on that at any point, and I don't make my living off this podcast, thank God.
Imagine Ben.
But I quite enjoyed episode 1 of The Nevers. You'll recall I watched before you did. Yeah, bloody,
you did. You recommended it to me. You said, "Have you seen it?" And I said, "I haven't even heard of it, Ben."
Yeah, so there you go. And I probably won't watch the rest of it, Michael, because I don't know if I was all that intrigued by it, but it was good.
But Benjamin,
yeah,
just like Dollhouse and Dollhouse is the big one. Episode 6 is a revelation of an episode.
Oh, it's a big twisty turny boy.
It's an enormous turn, Ben. It's a turn, which is ironic because that's the word they use in the show for people's powers. But it's a turn of the magnitude of the season finale of season 1 of Dollhouse,
Ooh.
where we're treated to a post-apocalyptic world where everyone has been mind-wiped because of the Dollhouse.
Oh, it's a Whedon classic, isn't it?
It is a Whedon classic, that's what I'm saying, and I think it's going to... Dollhouse, Ben, was rounded on. Critics hated Dollhouse for a couple of reasons. The first reason, episodes 1 to 4 are kind of crap. They are not good. They're
enough.
Boring episode of the week. A lot of it hangs on Eliza Dushku's ability to be a different person every week.
Did you say The Nevers or Dollhouse?
Dollhouse.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. My brain just sketched that.
Episode 1 to 4 of Dollhouse are pretty hard going, because they hang on Eliza Dushku, and they might as well have called the first couple of episodes of Dollhouse the Isn't Eliza Dushku Pretty show, because she's not going to be amazing anyone with her ability to become these different characters.
No, she's not.
But
she's no bloody Orphan Black, I'll tell you that much.
She's no Tatiana Maslany, and did we talk about this? Did I talk to you about?
We've had personal conversations about this.
Have
Michael.
we had
We've
this
never done an
conversation
episode.
about?
Though we probably should do an Orphan Black retrospective now that she's going to be in She-Hulk.
Yeah, we probably should, and apparently it's a good show. I've only made it through one season and I got a bit bored with it.
It's because you've seen
which
Joss
is a
Whedon's
certain-
Dollhouse.
It's a certain irony. Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? It turns out it has a big twist, and a lot of people missed the big twist. And the other criticism it had, Ben, was that it was creepy, and that these dolls were sex slaves, and they'd given up, and that's not something to be promoted.
No, but it is very Joss Whedon.
But that's what the show was about. How bad that was.
Yeah, it wasn't
that was
exactly
the whole point of the show.
Yeah,
the whole point of the show was, isn't this bad?
look at this
Let's
predatory
hope that our main
behavior. Ooh.
Yeah, let's hope that our main characters can put it. It's like, and I've stolen this from someone, so I do apologize. But it's like complaining that George Orwell's 1984 is a book about the benefits of big government watching everything we do.
Oh yeah, what a great book! Let's bloody do that.
Yeah, let's do that, because you can't write about something without condoning it. That's the right word. Yeah, you can't write about something without condoning.
Yes, to write about it, Michael, is to give it virtue.
Yes.
Hashtag not. But I think we run into that issue all the time, Michael. I think and that's a classic issue with criticism. It's just missing the fucking mark by a country mile on occasion. Look at your likes of. I think that's one of the few roles that criticism still is really useful for, because if you look at things like Fight Club, or you look at things like Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, a lot of people watch that and miss the point. Like a lot of people watch Fight Club and go, "Oh, Tyler Durden's so cool." Tyler Durden's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit, Ben.
He's not a good person. He's an overly cynical piece of shit, and it's a missed mark. People look at Joker and go, "Oh, what a sympathetic portrayal of mental." No, it's a portrayal of entitlement and a bloody indictment of a poor mental health system. But at no point do you go, "Yeah, look at Joker seizing power for the people." He's not. That's not.
Every country should have a terrible mental health system.
That's not what he's doing.
Then we'd all be Joker.
Exactly. A lot of people watch those shows or watch those movies and watch certain shows and they go, "Oh, how relatable. Look at this anti-hero." No, the Joker is not an anti-hero. He is an out and out villain.
He's the baddie.
He's the baddie. Tyler Durden is not an anti-hero. He's an out and out villain. He treats people like shit. He violently assaults things. And
he does a murder.
He treats women like crap. It's not good. And I think criticism can help if you're inclined to read it and say, well, actually, it's supposed to be a critique of da-da-da-da-da-da. However, in the modern society, Michael, as we put it, as I said earlier, it's more about fighting your corner now. So you decide that Joaquin Phoenix is a hero. And you decide that anyone who says that...
Show the Nevers.
Say again?
Decide that you like the show The Nevers.
Yeah, and then you say, well, everyone else is wrong and I'm right, and that's the wrong position to take. But we tend, Michael, the position of critic in modern society does not exist. What we have now is an ocean of opinion.
Everyone's a cricket.
And everyone's a cricket. And you have to pick the opinion that you like. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we're way over time. What do you think?
Let's wrap it up.
What do you think as you listen to two men behave like critics on a show once a week? What did we miss? What do you think of criticism in the 21st century? Let us know what you think in a couple of different places. You can find us online at www.seomrabeag.com, SEOMRABEAG.com.
It kind of means tiny room in Irish.
Sort of, maybe a little bit. You can also find us on Instagram at Seomrabeag, same spelling.
Same meaning.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, get up there on that Twitter to have live and in-charge conversations with us. Just tweet at us at ListenSure. Give us some ideas for future shows. Let us know what you think of critics. Joss Whedon, bad egg? ? Give us all of that lovely information. If you haven't had enough of us this week, ladies and gentlemen, if you hadn't had enough of Loki this week, you can check out our book club podcast, Collecting Issues, where this very Wednesday we'll be taking a look at Thor, Blood Brothers, which is an interesting little investigation of the brotherly love, or lack thereof, between Thor and Loki. Join us next week, ladies and gentlemen, where we will have a guest.
A guest?
We'll have a bloody guest.
A guest, is it?
Good friend of the podcast, Connor, will be on this very podcast talking to us about fantasy literature, Michael. What separates the wheat from the chaff? What makes a good fantasy novel or piece of fiction? Yes.
I'll tell you this now for nothing. I'm not fucking reading Dragonlance.
You're not reading Dragonlance, Michael. No, we're going to listen to Connor, who's probably read Dragonlance.
All right, good. Because I'm not reading it. I don't care.
So get in touch with us, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to us about that as well. Let us know what you think makes a fantasy novel any good at all, and what you think absolutely ruins them. What makes them dreck? What makes them a bloody Dragon's Lance?
I think Dragonlance is pretty popular.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What makes it a Dragon's Lance? That's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. Sure look, sure listen. Bye-bye.
Sure look, sure listen. That's it. Now, I'm not reading it. I don't care.